Ready?
Ready.
Welcome to Catalyst for Healing. I am so excited that we have a studio to film at today, and the doctors are not with us. They have important things going on because they both are still working as emergency medical physicians while they're building their ketamine clinics. So anyway, I am here today and I'm very excited with Luke Barrow. He is my personal trainer. And he also works with a lot of celebrities, professional athletes, and he works mobile, which I was so excited to find him because I don't really love gyms. And so he comes to your home and brings his equipment and trains with people in their backyards or I do it in my backyard in many different places. But anyway, he's here to talk today with us about the importance of physical fitness when it comes to mental health. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Luke?
Yeah. Hi, guys. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me. Like she mentioned, I'm a private trainer. I've been a private trainer for over a decade now here in Orange County for the most part, a little bit in LA to start out. But yeah, what else? I've been in the health and fitness industry my whole life, pretty much from sports. From there, just kind of grew a passion, for being stronger and getting fit for sports, for my particular sport. And then went to school for kinesiology and did the whole route. But early on, I put myself in the right environments, and I think for me, it was just getting around others who I looked up to in the industry, training, and that was other celebrity trainers. So now here we are, over a decade later. But yeah.
Well, we're talking to people that are doing their ketamine treatments and usually dealing with anxiety and depression, one of those two coming in. Some bipolar we do deal with as well, treat for as long as they're not in a manic state. But one of the things I talk a lot with clients about is the importance of building in healthy routines that are going to keep their mood functioning well in the long term, because the ketamine is going to help activate them in their mood to get out of that state, but long term they're going to need these healthy habits, mind, body, spirit, in order to stay in a good place. So tell me, what do you think is important about that when it comes to physical health?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know, well, maybe not all of us, but I know for me, when I'm off I live it, so I'm active every day, obviously, with my clients or on my own, and always doing something active for the most part. And I think for me, it's an overall lifestyle of nutrition, fitness, all that. But I notice it immediately when I don't work out, almost immediately. Like I feel different.
Like, what would
low
you
energy,
say the benefits are?
mental clarity, energy, obviously weight loss and the physical aspect. But yeah, mentally, I think it's just a de-stressor all around. Even if it's just light activity, if you're not moving and you're just sedentary, it's kind of hard to get out of like a funk, and you're going to get anxiety, depression, things that maybe you're already prone to, which is worse to not, have that physical side of it. I think people overcomplicate when it comes to like fitness, and especially if they're not already active, they think, oh, I don't know what to do, or I don't know where to go, or I'm too far gone, or whatever It may be, That's what stops them, and that's what cripples them from even beginning.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing is just doing anything to start and finding what your body reacts to, and seeing those benefits come in yourself. Because like, we can read any article we want, right? If we don't go through it ourselves, we're never really going to believe it fully.
Yeah.
I feel anyway. Like I think it's trial by doing it. Like, you have to get out there and do it and feel those benefits firsthand.
Yeah. And what would you say a good first step is? Like, for someone who hasn't exercised in a really long time, what would be like a good starting space to get active?
Great question. I think that looks different for everybody, as I mentioned, but I'll just reiterate, doing something.
Because I often tell clients, I try to tune into like, what are things you enjoy doing? So if they're walking, maybe they add a little bit more to make it a little more brisk, or like biking, just get on the bike and get out there and try to add a little bit more to it.
Totally. I agree with that. I think it's baby steps for a lot of people, especially if you're just starting from nothing to trying to get in there. You have to take it baby steps, otherwise that burnout phase comes in and those unrealistic expectations come in, and we're in a society too where it's so easy to compare. So one wrong video or something you see online where you're like, I can't do that'll never be me. Like, I think that stops people dead in their tracks. And I've looked at it before with certain goals in mind where I'm like, what's my goal now? Okay, I'm gonna look up like the world record holder on that goal, and then I think like, okay, I'm not gonna be that. Like right. The self talk is critical. So I think it's just doing something little by little, like you said, whether it's ramping up the incline a little higher or staying active for 10 more minutes than you normally would. Right. Just feeling out your body, seeing how it reacts to what you're doing, and not over analyzing it, because I think the more we overthink it is going to completely hinder us from doing anything else.
Yeah.
And staying still is just not, there's no room for growth, as you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, taking baby steps, finding your comfort zones to start, and then getting out of those comfort zones little by little. That's the biggest thing.
Good.
Whatever that looks like for you. I mean, it's different for everybody,
Talk about the importance of weightlifting, because that's something I kept hearing about. I'm 53, and I was like, oh, it's so important for my age.
Yeah.
And I just started it a year ago, and the benefits, like mentally and emotionally, have been pretty profound for me. So, I mean, what do you notice with that, adding that in for people?
I think for me personally, I mean, I can go on and on about the benefits of lifting weights, whether it be just trying to be stronger for your kids or being stronger for yourself or whatever it may be. But, there's always like those funny comparisons where it's like, I want to lift all the groceries up the steps without making 2 trips, or,
right.
Like there's those funny analogies and comparisons where it's like, so everyone's reason, their why is very different.
Yeah.
But when it comes to overall benefits of lifting weights, I mean, it's endless. I think people have a misconception, mostly women have a misconception around like, I'll get bulky or big if I lift weights.
Yeah.
And again, that's so far from the truth. You have to be lifting so heavy and very specifically to get big or bulky. You won't get bulky, but again, I think it goes back to like over analyzing. People are like, that's not me, or I think I don't need to do this, or weights aren't what is going to get me there. But it's like, for an overall physique and just overall health, weightlifting is the best thing you can do. And not cardio, not Pilates. Like, you want to have a good balance of all of it. But I think if I had to say one thing and not being biased, I think weightlifting, even light weightlifting, is the best thing you can do for your body, for longevity, bones and all that. Like, that's the biggest thing, and to prevent injury as you get older.
Yeah.
I think, as you know, as we get older, those little things you do, you're like, that felt weird, whether maybe you just slept wrong, but it's like, it's having a strong core, having a strong back, spine, like, that's weightlifting. I mean, or or whatever you're doing, like, just incorporate a little bit of all of it,
and
like
even just twice a week is all you need with the weightlifting, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, depends on your goal and where you're looking to be, but for me, it's like, it's a lifestyle. I've created a lifestyle where it's part of my everyday, like it's a non-negotiable. So for me, it just depends on the season I'm in, but I'd say 3 times a week is a non-negotiable for me, and that varies for everybody. Like I said, if you're starting from nothing, you don't want to jump straight into 4 days a week.
Yeah,
you want to feel out 2 days a week. And get a feel for the weights. And again, form is everything. So I think that's the biggest thing where, again, not biased.
That's where you've helped me a lot.
Right, not being biased, but, investing in a coach or trainer, a professional, someone who knows what they're doing is critical, especially when you're going from zero. Because it takes one wrong movement to completely set you back. It's worth the investment times a million. Especially when you're looking at it as a long game, which you should be, because my goal with my clients isn't just to get them to that goal and then we're done. It's thinking about, how can I impact their lives long after I'm gone?
Yeah, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. I want to teach these clients of mine, like, these are habits you can take long after I'm gone down the road, going, hey, I remember what he taught me here. Yeah. I implement this here. Like, it's just a non-negotiable for you now. Like, that's my ultimate goal, is just to change their whole lifestyle.
Yeah.
For the better, So
one of the things I noticed with the weightlifting that you taught me, and I mean, the form has been so helpful, because if I was doing it on my own,
it's hard. It's hard. You don't know what you don't know.
And you have to correct me like 10 times for me to get it. It takes a while.
Totally, yeah.
But feeling stronger in my body, there's something about that translates mentally and emotionally, where I just feel like I'm a stronger person.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is you've helped incorporate boxing, because I was taking some boxing lessons earlier in the year, and I really love the experience of getting my anger out boxing. And so I have a bag in my backyard, and we work on that too.
Absolutely.
But combination of those has really created, because I'm feeling physically strong, it really has created this sense of feeling more emotionally strong.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just came from the gym. Literally, I came straight here from the gym, and I feel great right now. Like I felt 2 times better than before I was working out. So it's little, but again, even now doing it, this is what I do for my career. Every day, I still feel the difference.
Yeah.
You never get used to it. It's like you feel so much better when you're in there and afterwards when you're done. So it's, and again, scientifically, there's so many benefits mentally and everything going on there, but.
Have you had any clients that you can think of where there was a really profound change in terms of their mood or energy?
Honestly, Jason is a prime example.
He owns a studio that
He
we're
owns
at
a
right
studio.
now.
Sorry for everyone. Yeah, Jason. Like anyone knows him. Yeah, Jason owns a studio. He's a client of mine, and I think in him is huge. As of late, at least one of the recent clients of mine. Completely getting sober, just dedicating himself. He's an all-in type of person, he has an addictive personality, which I think a lot of us do. So for him, it was, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And just seeing the change in him is incredible, not just physically, but mentally. Like, yes, he's lost 80 pounds and more. But for me to help him be able to get sober, that's way more
huge.
gratifying than losing 80 pounds.
Yeah.
And creating lifelong habits where he's going on rucksacks by himself every day now. Like that's something he's just implementing on his own, and that's what we would do. I taught him how to create sustainable, paths and ways to do it. So the client results are great, physically, like I said, nothing better than seeing someone hit that goal where they want to be physically, looking in the mirror. That's huge. But I think, like I said, seeing them implement what we've learned or what I've taught them years down the road is the most gratifying. Like mentally, you can't put a price tag on that. Your health is the best investment. So for me, seeing that, and I see it all over, because like I said, it's not just a training session. I'm trying to instill all these different ways to do it. When I'm not there anymore, you got to learn these different ways, not just the working out in that 1 hour session. You do those small things over time, like you said, the form and all that. It takes a little bit of time, but it just becomes habitual.
Yeah.
And you don't even think about it anymore. You're just doing it, going, well, I just created this lifestyle. This is what I do now. So that's the biggest and most gratifying thing in my with what I see with clients over any physical transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that you're very holistic. In fact, we'll link in the show notes Luke's information. You have an Instagram, but then you're also starting a podcast, which I'm excited to.
Yes.
You have one episode released already?
One. Yes, it's lingering a bit, but I plan to get in here and be more consistent with that. Yeah.
But we've loved having conversations because I've just been diving into the holistic world in terms of my own healing. And so some of the other things that we've talked about that I've incorporated are doing the cold plunge and the sauna and the red light therapy. Do you want to share a little bit about those? Because they're being talked about right now, and in terms of how they benefit mood or energy or health.
Yeah, all of the above. Similar to weightlifting, I think there's so much science behind cold plunging and saunas. And again, depends on your goal and for recovery or for just mental benefits. There's so many different ways to go about that. I think it's tricky with the online stuff, reading certain articles or not, because for anything good, there's bad. If you're going purely online, it's just there's something good, there's something bad, there's something good, it's just a rotating thing. But for the most part, I mean, ice baths or cold plunging in general, saunas, like that's all very across the board consistent with the mental benefits and longevity of life, decreasing blood pressure or risk of diabetes just by sitting in the sauna. I think it's like 20 minutes a week.
I got off my blood pressure medication just by
doing that. All holistic, because again, your body is designed to heal itself, which my wife will attest to when she comes on. But most people just aren't doing the right things. Like they're not giving their body the best chance to do its job, right? So for me, it's all across the board. Like I said, it's a lifestyle. I'm trying to hit every angle I can and be the literal like walking billboard for health, and not just for physical appearance, but for my mental, for my family, like everyone else around me, because you're clicking on all cylinders when you're doing these things, and everyone else feels that. So
Like even your son, I'm sure you show
Yeah.
up better with your son when you're feeling good.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
he sees that, and then that's a whole other part where it's leading by example for him too. So he's going to see me doing that and implement those things as he gets older,
Right.
thinking that's his norm, right? I think with that being said, kind of like physical fitness, it's all about getting uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
That's where growth happens, whether it's business or fitness or health in any
Cold
area.
plunge.
Cold plunge.
For sure.
Right. Everyone's like, that. I can't do it. It's not me. And I'm like, well, it's not really anybody. If you think about it, you know what I mean? Like the people who are doing it aren't saying like, it's just easy for me to do. I think, again, that's in people's heads where they're like, no, I can't. They've been doing it for a while.
You even helped me with that of like, just go down 1 degree every couple days
baby
because I was
steps.
freaking out
Baby
about
steps.
how cold it was.
Yeah, nobody just jumps into 30-degree water and says, I'm cool with this. I'm going to respond well to that. It's about creating, yes, cold plunges are very hard. It's more mental than anything, obviously. So for me, it's like, if you're just starting out with a cold plunge, sauna is a lot easier. It's heat, but it's way more comfortable, obviously. If you're doing like a cold plunge, start it at 45. Just get a feel for the water. Little by little, like I told you just go down to 43, then you're down to 40. Next thing you know, you're under 40, and then those extreme benefits come in.
Yeah.
It just raises the percentages times 2.
Yeah.
Right? So once you find that fine line, you can just kind of keep plugging away at it and just chipping away at the little by little, and then that's where you get the most benefit. But as long as I think it's great for anybody who's just, as long as you're getting uncomfortable, whatever that looks like for you, if it's
even with the cold plunge, starting with like a cold shower at the end of your hot shower, there's benefit to that.
Yeah, and I think people underestimate how hard that is. Like when you're going from hot to cold, that's way harder. I mean, it's way more mental than you think. Like if I was just to hop in it's probably 60 degrees outside. If I was to hop in a pool right now at 50, it's not that shocking. But if it's 90 degrees outside and you're getting in a 50-degree pool, what's going to happen? Like your body's going to react a lot differently, right? So the hot to cold, I would argue, is even harder than getting in a cold plunge because it's also tricklets, right? You're not even fully submerged,
right?
So it's hitting different areas of your body at different times. So I think, and I know a lot of people who do that were like, I can't cold plunge, but I can cold shower. I'm like, I promise you, if you can cold shower, you can cold plunge. Like you're honestly doing yourself a disservice by doing it that way. Like you would probably be a lot better doing a cold plunge. But again, it's just all back to the people get in their head about things and they overanalyze it, and that's where that crippling factor will come in, and you just won't do anything.
And like you said, set too high of expectations.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
I love James Clear's book. I don't know if you read that, Atomic Habits.
I have, yeah, and my wife has too. We have it at the house.
Okay, that's like the best book that helps you break things down into tiny little steps and then celebrate those little steps because that's the only way you're going to be successful. When people set too high of goals, they never reach them,
Yeah.
And then they get discouraged and they stop. And that happens a lot with New Year's goals because, the New Year coming up.
Yes.
We want to make sure that people set realistic, tangible goals that they can, be proud about.
Yeah, New Year's is always that fine line of, and again, I think with the New Year's resolutioners and all that, to my first point, like not too many people will take that investment seriously. Like they won't invest in themselves, right? Or they'll do it on a minimal scale.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, you'll see the difference immediately because one, either you won't hit your goal as quickly, or two, you'll just stop completely, like you said.
Yeah.
You'll get discouraged and you'll hit a burnout phase because there's nothing worse than pounding the pavement for 4 months going, why am I not? I'm doing everything right, or I thought I was, right?
Yeah.
You can think you're doing everything right, but like if you're not investing in someone to help you, to guide you, it's just not, you're not going to get there as quick.
Right.
And you might not get there at all, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
So it's, for me, it's the best investment you can make, because if you have a concrete goal or you want to actually do something to better your health, like you have to invest, period. You can't just say, I'm going to go to the gym and figure it out by myself. It's just not going to happen. I've seen it. I've seen it over 10 years, 1,000 plus times, where people are like, I got this, I'll do it on my own. And then they come calling me like, hey, I have a couple questions. Why did I not? I'm eating, I'm eating protein. I'm doing my greens. I'm getting because they're missing in some other area.
Yeah.
Like you're not, how are you lifting? Like there's so much to break down. That's another reason people get overwhelmed. When they see how much goes into a goal, they get very overwhelmed because they're like, really? I'm going from 0 to this. So that's why I tell people, but you're not going to go 0 to 100. We're going to establish small goals that you can hit first, like you just mentioned. So that's huge. You can't just go 0 to 100.
Right.
Or try to go on your own.
Right.
I don't agree.
But I do feel like once now I know what I'm doing, like the more I feel like
you're gonna
really
get,
confident, then
sure.
I'll be able to do it on my own.
No,
so
you,
it's not
the
like
goal
a
is to
long-term-
get to that
yeah,
place.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't have me forever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the goal is hopefully get there sooner than later too.
Yeah.
Right. My goal
Right.
is to get you there as fast as possible to where, like I said, long after I'm gone, no, I got this.
Yeah.
Because I had made the initial investment.
Exactly.
It takes a little time, but I made the investment. I did it the right way. That's it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Then you're good. Then you set yourself up for success. That's huge.
Okay. Well, we're going to incorporate a very special person.
Yeah.
Luke's wife is here, Kayla Abdi, and she is a health coach, health and wellness coach and entrepreneur.
Yep.
And so there was something really kind of interesting that Luke did when he was working with me is he would bring a jug of water every time he came.
Medical
and
water.
Medical grade water. And he would say, I just want you to try this for the week. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, free water, And he said, just notice if there's any benefits. And I did start to notice some benefits, like energy, mood change. And so as I got more into the water he was bringing, he would just share a little more about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, his wife is going to come and share about the water that he brought over to me, and also a little bit more about what she does, because I think water is a really important factor in our health that we don't talk about that much in our culture. But Kayla, why don't you come on and we'll
rotate out.
Yeah, we'll rotate out. Luke, stay.
You want me to stay here?
Do you want to stay here, or do you want to just have Kayla come?
I'll stay inside. Yeah, here. You come in here.
Sure.
Yeah. I'll get this little mic.
Thanks.
Welcome, Kayla.
Thank you.
So why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Sure. So I am a coach, a leadership coach, a little bit more on that side now, but very big in the health and wellness space. Master's degree is my background in organizational leadership. So I did not know I was going to be a water connoisseur and this was going to be my full-time thing, but I had a crazy story with it, and not just like you with myself. And I really just started to do a lot of research and realized that a lot of issues that people are having, whether it's internal health issues, mental, depression, anxiety, it was kind of a link was coming back to a lack of hydration. Which is crazy, or inflammation in the body. And, I know you guys talked about this before. I always tell everybody I'm not a doctor. I would never say this is a cure for anything. I've been working with people across the board, ton of different health issues for the last 7 years. And what I've found is when you create the right environment for your body, it will work for you versus against you. Yeah. And it's just really cool. So that's what I'm doing full time, is I get to educate people about the benefits of this holistic medical grade device all over the world, and I love it.
Why don't you share a little bit about that?
Sure.
I just actually bought the water, and it's so exciting because it's coming right out of my sink and I get to drink it every day now.
I love it. So there's a ton of research on this, and I know that Luke had mentioned it. It's so funny, if you Google the happiest place on earth, there will be good things and there will be bad things, but essentially the medical device is coming from Japan. The company's been around for 50 years, and there are people all around the world that I don't know if you've heard of people called Miracle Water. Like Magic Johnson has done this like over the course of years, and people will fly, all over the world to get this water, and they just figured out how to do it so you could have it in your own home. But essentially it is filtration, but it's also ionization. Okay. So in the simplest way to explain the medical device, the water has a filter and then 8 medical grade titanium plates. The water goes through the plates, it gets shocked, and it produces the water, which has antioxidants and properties.
Okay.
It's the simplest way to explain it. There's a ton of filters out there, and having clean water is not bad, but there's just no benefit to the body. So with this, you get that clean water that everyone is searching for, but you also get the benefits. Yeah. So just to get an idea, drinking 1 cup is like drinking 32 cups of fresh pressed blueberries.
Wow.
That is way easier to me than trying to do it with my food. We eat pretty healthy, but it's just not realistic. So for us, we felt like this was easier. It was a no-brainer investment. The water is the biggest component, of course, but it does 100 different things. So for people who are looking to just a one-stop shop investment, it's great. We cook with it, we clean with it, facial stuff across the board.
So why don't you share if you've worked with people I mean, we have a lot of people with autoimmune illness
Sure.
on top of depression, anxiety, and now we know there's a lot of trauma base with autoimmune. But what are you noticing, those types of people coming in using it? What are some of the things you're seeing?
Yeah, it's really interesting because people with depression and anxiety, there is actual studies that correlate a low water intake to having depression and anxiety, which is interesting.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm looking this up, and anybody could look this up on the internet. You could find anything on there. I'm like, but it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Your body is mostly made up of water, not food. So a lot of people, when they start on their health journey and, you're not feeling good, what do I do?
Right.
This channel tells me almonds are good and this channel tells me almonds are bad. There's just a lot of misinformation.
Yes.
I think people feel overwhelmed, and it really stops them from doing anything at all.
Yeah.
So people who have depression and anxiety, it's like, let's just focus on what you can control. Let's focus on something you're already doing.
Yeah.
Everybody's already drinking water. Everybody's already paying for it. You need it.
Right.
You're right. So it tends to simplify that process for them. And in return, they have more energy. They have better sleep, which makes them feel better.
Right.
It really regulates, especially for women, the hormones and your mood. And it directly goes to your neurotransmitters, and everything is correlated to the brain and water intake. So autoimmune, I have a girlfriend of mine. I always tell everybody everybody's body is different in the amount of time that it takes to heal. So I worked with her for about 3 months with the machine. Everybody's body is different, but she is a totally different person, which is really cool. We
just with the water change.
Just with the water change, but the thing with the water change is I think that's a first stop for people.
Yeah.
Because it's easy. I'm already doing it.
Right.
So I might as well just change it out to something that now I know it's clean, great, but now it's giving me these antioxidants and properties, and let's just see kind of what happens. So if you're somebody who's struggling with any health issue, really, that takes a toll on your day.
Sure.
It takes a toll on your mental health. It's just you're slow, you're sluggish. You really can't focus on anything else. And I know because I've been there before, and it really just takes over. So if you can fix the internal stuff, it allows you to think clear and then focus on yourself.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times people that I work with, they can't even think about what they like to do.
Yeah.
Because they're so focused on how awful they feel.
Right.
And that's why we always tell people, yes, your health is an investment for sure, but being sick is so expensive.
It's so true. That's a really good one.
So if we can, collectively
invest in the health,
yes,
then we'll have less medical bills.
Yes, it's a crazy system.
And you had to walk me through that, because we'll link this in the show notes if people are interested in the product. But you had to walk me through because it's a big investment, and I was like, oh my gosh. But when you broke it down with me about how much I was spending on water bottles and then the plastic that's in water bottles and the benefits of this, it was actually, like you have payment plans, it was actually very reasonable.
Yeah, it's not
bad. Of an investment. Yeah.
It's not bad when you have the information. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, we invest where we see the value.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. Because people aren't going to spend money on anything where they don't see the value or the long-term vision of how is this going to get me from here to here. So yes, it's a product, but it's changing somebody's life. And I know for everything that we're all doing here, it all correlates. Right. So if this can help somebody feel better, that helps their mental health, that helps them even think about what they like to do, you know? So yeah, she is a totally different person. I will 100% contribute it to the water being the catalyst starter. Yeah. And that really led her to...
And she was feeling better to do these other things that make you feel better.
Totally. Then she's like, okay, maybe I should work out. And, what books can you suggest? Yeah. And really started to shift towards a community of like-minded people. And that's the fun part. When you're in it, you're in it, and it's really lonely because you can't see anything else.
Right.
But then when you feel good, you hang out with other people that feel good, and the mindset is there, and it's really fun. And I think for me, with what I do, that is the part that I love the most.
That's awesome.
Out of everything. Yeah.
Well, you guys have been so wonderful as part of my life, and thank you so much for coming and sharing the stories of clients. And I just think there's so many benefits when we are dealing with holistic approaches.
Sure.
And each piece plays a role. And so that's my goal when I'm working with clients is I want them to see and take responsibility for each piece, because if each one is contributing just a couple percentages more, like think how much better their life is going to be.
It's amazing. We love what you're doing. It's really cool when everyone can link up, and we're really big advocates for people. Just pay attention to how you feel, medical professional or not. I always tell everybody I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional. This is just my story of what happened, and I just made a decision to look into information on my own and try something on my own, and let's just see what happens. It cannot harm me. There's no side effect,
And it turned into your career.
And it turned into my career, and being the healthiest version of myself, not on any medication anymore.
That's awesome.
We still live a healthy, active lifestyle, of course, and we always preface that, but it's just a game changer, so we really want that for everybody on everything. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right. Well,
thank you for having us.
All right. We'll see you guys next week for Catalyst for Healing.
Bye.
Bye.